So let's just start simple. Let's say G is equal to SL2C. So this is SL2C viewed as a real group. In particular, let's look at the simple roots. There are two simple roots. This is type A1 cross A1. Okay, so there's a left SL2 and a right SL2. And let's look at the block of the trivial representation of G. Well, it's a little small, not so interesting. There are two representations. Well, that's what I said. They're parameterized by the file group. So I'll explain in a minute how to actually see that, but let's just look at the number for the moment. So this is a very simple.
But by the way, Mark was pointing out that for complicated, incomprehensible reasons, the last column here gives reduced expressions for those file group elements.
Because it's a complex group, or what?
Well,
I mean, not in general.
no, but for a complex
Oh,
group.
for complex group. I'm not sure I knew that.
I didn't know that.
Well, I mean, this is so this is a so let me have a little aside here. You have a complex group G of C. G, and then you have this group which is its complexification, which is G cross G, and the Wahl group of G is two copies of the Wahl group of G, and the distinguished involution switches the two factors, and it acts on the Wahl group. And what we care about is involutions in the non-identity component of W. So there's this delta W, which is W semi-direct delta. And what I want to know are what are the involutions in the component with the delta. So that is to say, suppose you have an element W delta. What's the condition for it to be an involution? Well, W delta times W delta. Well, so you write W as W1, W2 delta times W1, W2 delta. And what you get is when you pull this past, you get W1, W2, W2, W1. That's the square. And so the condition that it be an involution, oh, that's the fixed one. Oops, okay. So the involutions are the set of pairs W inverse across delta as W runs over W. So W is, the Wahl group, there's two copies of it, but the involutions is one copy of it. And that's, anyway, that's what this is telling us.
Can you lower this thing again?
Okay. All right, so let's do a slightly bigger example where we can see a little bit more.
So the bijection there is on the involutions of W in the top code.
Yeah, the left-hand side is naturally parameterized by the involutions in W. The right-hand side's in W cross W, in this twisted thing. And the right-hand side is W, and yeah, that's the bijection. So let's set G is equal to, no, let's not set G. G colon equals SP for C. Print block of the trivial of G. Let's make it a little bigger. All right. You can read that. So if you look at the end there, ignore the E. That's the list of logical elements in the logical type C2. Okay.
By the way, only people under the influence of Roger Howe call it the Weil group of type C2. B2.
I can't tell if it's B2 or C2. It's going off the screen.
Yeah, what was the group?
What was the
SP4C.
before C2? So I'm the influence of Roger Howe.
All right, so a complex group. Dan Barbash explained this to me many years ago. The set of representations I with infinitesimal character rho are best parameterized by the set of pairs gamma. Gamma mu, where gamma and mu are W conjugate to rho, modulo the action of the diagonal Hartrott subgroup. Did I get that right? So, in other words, and actually the way, I think, you're right, this is gamma L, gamma R. Gamma L, gamma R. Pardon me? Yeah, I guess that's a row one. Thank you. And that's not these coordinates, but the software knows about these coordinates. And so let me show you how that looks. So I wrote a little file called complex. Let me take a smaller group. Let's take SL3C. Print complex block of the trivial of G. I can make it a little bigger. Whoops. Okay, so so this is this is A2. It has the volume has 6 elements, and new line. That's entertaining. How'd that get in there? Pardon me? There is a new line, yes. There's the number. This is lambda and this is nu. So this is x, lambda, and nu in the atlas coordinates, and then this is gamma L and gamma R, and something else called mu C and nu C. For those of you in the audience that know about this, about it, but I'm going to ignore those. And so this is the pair gamma L, gamma R, and it's modulo the diagonal action of the Weil group, so you might as well conjugate the gamma L to be rho, and then what's over here is the W orbit of rho in this column. So this shows you how to match up, and then there's this Weil group element at the end. This is the Weil group element which takes either rho to that, or the reverse direction, I forget which. But this column, basically if you look at this column and this column, that tells you how to match up with the Verma modules. Right? And so then let's look at some Kaiser-Johann-Lustig polynomials.
What kind of coordinates are we using?
Well, so I should have emphasized the standard atlas coordinates for this group is rank 4. It's A1 cross A2 cross A2, and so it's there's 2 copies of everything. This gamma L and gamma R are simply for A2, and so anyway, but in terms of what coordinates, I don't know. It's these crazy atlas coordinates.
Did you just create that command?
Yeah, it's not in the. I just wrote it. I mean, it's a little processing. There's nothing serious about it.
Did you say 2-1 is rho?
Yeah.
And you have the orbit of rho?
Hang on a second.
Could you do this again with GL3?
Yeah, I was just thinking maybe that's what I should do. Hang on. What's rho of G?
Oh, it's SL2. Okay, no. You're missing something. No, so you should add constants so that you get so that you see 1 and 2. So where is
So this is the Weil group, and the point is that there's 2 copies. So this is A2 cross A2, and there's roots 0, 1, 2, and 3, and everything's diagonal. Ooh. Oh no, this is the full Weil group. This isn't WK, right? Yeah, sorry. This isn't demonstrating what I wanted. How do we get W?
You could make a separate group, which is SL3R.
Never mind. Anyway, sorry, Mark. What was the question?
No.
I mean, it's so as David suggested, we should maybe try GL3. So let's set G colon equals GL3C, and let's do print complex composition series of trivial of G. Whoops. Print complex block of the trivial of G. Nerd. That's why I didn't do GL3, because it just keeps counting. Now these are actually nice coordinates. So rho is 1, 0, minus 1. And now you can see gamma L right here is always rho, and gamma R is the Weil orbit of rho. Is it?
Yep.
In the other case, you chop off the final coordinate after making it 0. So you add a constant to the final coordinate is 0, and then you forget it. That's how
Oh, is that the coordinates for SL2?
Yeah,
I see.
Because it's not constant, you get different
Yep. Okay, so let me go back to SL3 just so things aren't so. Okay, so there are a bunch of Kaiser-Johann-Lustig polynomial commands, and to be honest, I never remember what they are. So what I do is I type KL, capital KL, tab, and you get a list of commands that you might want to try. So I was a little disturbed to see these old ones, by the way. These are remnants of when things weren't working yet in we had different versions. I should put them, but anyway. Oh, and there's also alt. What is alt?
It's usually news groups that you can't really justify on the basis of work.
So KLP polynomials and KLQ polynomials. So in our parlance, there are two matrices. There's the Q matrix, which gives multiplicities of irreducibles in standards, and there's the signed P matrix, which gives the multiplicity of standard in a character formula of an irreducible. And these two matrices are each other's inverses. And so, excuse me. So let's set P to be the P equals trivial of G. And let's set P equals KLP signed polynomials of P. So there's some data structure here. I'll show you what P is. It's hard to look at. That's P. But there's you can look at it by doing print poly matrix P. So there's the, oh, is this the sign? Yeah, this is the sign. No, yeah, this is the sign one. So, and again, these are going by columns. So these are the Cauchy-List polynomials. They're all plus or minus 1 in this case. And a column is telling you how to write an irreducible as a formal linear combination of Verma modules above it. Okay? And you can set Q is equal to the KLQ polynomials of P. And you can look at that matrix. And that's the multiplicity matrix. This tells you how to write a Verma module as the irreducible constituents of each Verma module. And let's go out on a limb here. Print poly matrix P times Q. What do you think? These matrices are indeed inverses of each other.
So the entries of the matrices P and Q are
they're polynomials. I'll do a bigger example where there's some Q's.
Okay.
So, I mean, these aren't evaluated at 1. These are literally the polynomials. Yes?
I mean, here the P, the minus of you printed the custom for the block P left.
For the block what?
The representation P left. I don't we expand the K or P sign.
Yeah, so let me print the block out again. I'll print it out in ordinary arc. Just the complex block probably works for me. Oh, yeah, that fits. Okay, good. So this is the block of the trivial representation. It has 6 representations in it. The trivial representation is number 5. And this is a 5 by 5 matrix. And let's look at the E matrix, for example. This last column says that it's the signed P matrix. So that says that the trivial representation is standard representation number 5 minus number 4 minus number 3 plus plus minus. That gives that's the Zuckerman character formula for the trivial representation. And we could look at that directly. We could do print character formula of P. And you see it's reading in the other order, plus, minus, minus, plus, plus, minus. Plus, minus, minus, plus, plus, minus. And then similarly, if you want to look at the composition series, let's do print the composition series of E. That's all ones. And let's look at B bracket 4. Whoops, oh, I didn't give a name. So number 4, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, this says that standard module 4 is irreducible number 4 plus irreducibles 0, 1, and 2. And that's what this says. Okay? Now, let's do a slightly bigger example so we see some cues. Yeah.
Okay. So with the parameters in this example, because new is up to equivalence, and so what would we get? Could we just vary the KGB element and leave lambda as row and new as 0? Or if I was trying to pick out the parameter, would I need to change new as I change? Or will it have this automatically?
Not sure. Let me think. So, I mean, so it is true that that in a complex group. So I remember I mentioned in my talk this morning that that there's this fact. If S alpha is simple and X complex. Well, every root in the complex group is complex. So in a complex group, you can simply say that P of X lambda nu is equivalent to P of WX, W lambda, W nu. And you could move all of your X's up to 0 if you wanted. And I'm not sure what would happen to lambda nu when you do that. But yeah. All right. Okay, so let's set G is equal to SL3C. So P is the trivial of G, and print volume matrix. Oh, SL3, I'm sorry. SL3 is what I did already. I want SL4. Sorry. SL4C. P is the trivial. Capital P is the polynomials. Print them. Huh. Get things fast. Okay, let's see. We can get these to fit. I guess that's probably almost illegible from where you're sitting, but that's the polynomials for SL4C. It's a 24 by 24 matrix, and there are some 1 plus Q's. And this last column is the Zuckerman character formula, all plus or minus 1s.
Just for the trivial.
Correct. Question? What? Yes.
So I think that when not making these mononomials the same ones that we used to, that would also use mononomials with more constants.
the question?
I was under the impression that the power numbers didn't have any constant terms. These ones have ones. Maybe I can
Sorry, didn't have any constant.
Yeah, I thought that they were polynomials and Q with no constants, but
So Lustig has used different normalizations. You can multiply the polynomial by an integer power of q, and various versions are interesting in different contexts. Very often in the past 20 years, he has shifted things so that, in fact, they're polynomials in q inverse. I mean, he multiplies by some fairly large negative power of q so that they become polynomials in q inverse, which never have a constant term except on the diagonal. It could be that that's what you're thinking about.
Yeah, actually, that's the way Dragon sets things up in his notes, I think, on D modules.
Yeah, so Dragon is sort of the Lustig of Salt Lake City, so.
Oh, there's so many things I could say right now. I'll just hold my tongue.
If you want,
But I wouldn't send that quote.
inverse of the A matrix, then this
I think this would,
go through.
I think probably, that I can't swear to, I don't know.
Trying to think. So Raphael was asking about these, what were these partial categories? What are they called? Where you have a P? Relative verbal module category? Generalized verbal module category. And David and I talked the other day just a bit. By introducing the parabolic here correctly, you can I'm pretty sure, get the polynomials for this relative category from these. But it's not clear in my head exactly how you do that at the moment. Do you have an idea, David?
No, not more precisely, no.
But I think it's pretty clear you can do it.
I think the point is that the real parabolic induction functors that Annegret talked about in the complex case, that there's some appropriate collection of finite dimensionals of L that you can use so that their composition series will match perfectly the generalized Fermat module composition series. But the issue is exactly which finite dimensionals on L, you know, I mean, there's some row shifts and that's what we didn't finish figuring out.
So are you saying there's a collection of finite dimensionals of L?
I mean, this generalized Fermat module category is essentially the irreducibles are indexed by W mod WL. And so the statement is, you know, you write down that same parabolic in this complex group, and there's a particular infinitesimal character, yeah, I guess a particular infinite,
Wouldn't it be dual to a particular infinitesimal character?
Yeah, now I'm, I mean, the finite dimensionals of L, which will induce to the correct infinitesimal character for G, are the family, it's indexed by W mod WL cross W mod WL. So you have the square of the number that you want, and you need to pick some appropriate Yeah, on one of the factors, you take sort of an arbitrary finite dimensional that will induce to the corrected, and on the second factor, you fix once and for all the finite dimensional, and then when you induce those things, they behave the same way. I mean, it's this n-right equivalence of categories.
Here you go. All right, other questions? So I think maybe this is a good place to stop, but the last thing I wanted to do was just get requests for next week. So let me pull up the web page. So what I have here was just more or less, I threw out a bunch of things that came to mind for things that we could talk about. What I'm thinking is that, well, some of these things we already covered, but for example, working with Kajugalistic Vogel polynomials or computing the Yanson filtration. I mean, there's sort of a half an hour talk there that I think people would find useful, and some people will be more interested in some than others, but there's a bunch of half-hour to 45-minute talks in here that I think would show people what the software can do, and that's part of the point here, I think, is people want to know what the software can do and how it can help them. So I thought we have talked about at least some of these topics, but this is not exhaustive, and for example, this question about verbal modules is not on here, but definitely wanted to address it. So, are there things that people are particularly interested in seeing? Either on the list or not on the list.
So I'd be interested for Roger or Letitia, depending on what speed we want the talk to be, to talk about some of their work about associated varieties of discrete series and whatnot. They have serious results about difficult, interesting problems that are related to Atlas.
I think it's a good idea, especially I'm not going to be here.
Ah! Are you going to be here?
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I didn't mean that I knew.